Hello everyone, and welcome to the Dice Commando YouTube channel. I'm Andrew, with you here as always. This is the Commando Cast, a video cast about all things Star Wars Destiny. This video and others like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. Please show your support with a like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any new videos. If you want to get involved with the channel, consider becoming a channel member. There are many benefits to channel membership, including access to our Discord, exclusive deck tech and strategy videos, and the opportunity to help create channel content. I want to sincerely thank all our channel members, as I truly couldn't do this without your support. You guys rock. Go Commando. Hello everyone, welcome back to Dice Commando and the Commando Cast, talking Destiny Smash today, or the future of Destiny Smash, joined here by the master of Phase 3. How's it going, Dean?
That's going well.
So today what we are going to be talking is the future, our forecast of what we've been thinking for the future of Destiny Smash. Hey folks, thanks for tuning in again. Happy Friday. Joined again by Dean, or Swag Dean, and he's the one who kicked off Phase 3. You may remember his face from previous casts and around the Destiny interwebs. How's it going today, my friend?
It's going excellent. Excited to talk Smash as always.
Yeah. So Dean and I have been talking quite a bit, or quite a bit infrequently. Every now and then we'll have kind of a huge diatribe about what we want to do next, right? Phase 3 obviously is out, and I think pretty well receptive. What do you think?
Yeah, I've heard. I was expecting more balanced discussions, and most of the ones I've actually heard arguments on both sides. Like, you need to nerf this. This is too, or this is too weak. So I feel like those arguments negate each other. So I've been happy with how Phase 3's gone, and I definitely feel like it's a really solid product. And you can see people on Facebook when they finally get I've got all 50 built, and it's an epic achievement. So I've been pretty proud of see those kind of things.
Yeah, I mean, I think I do think I think Phase 3 put kind of I don't want to say this in a finality type way, but I think it put a period at the end of the sentence, and at least it did from the FFG side of things, right? I think for the most part, I think we'd be, and I mean, you and I talked about this before on this cast. I think it's going to be pretty hard pressed to do a Phase 4 that is based on solely FFG cards, right?
We're scraping the bottom a little bit. You could do it, but it would feel pretty redundant. It'd be a lot of characters that feel like other characters, or we kind of stretch to put them in there.
Yeah, and we'd have to, we could do a Talzin, I guess. Talzin's out there, some of the ones left, but to that end, Dean and I have been talking about kind of where we want to go to continue to expand it. The other problem, not problem as much, but other concern that we have to face as we continue to expand the Smash library is that we are, I think you said it nicely, we are exhausting the supply, right? There's a lot of cards out there that are hard to find. There's a lot of staple cards out there that we can't really, but it would be difficult to build without, that see themselves in a lot of stuff. So that's another challenge we have, is if, let's say, someday we go from 50 to 100, where are you getting 8 more riot shields, right? I mean, or whatever it may be, right? So that's another thing that we're facing. Now, to that end a bit, I do want to kind of remind everybody that you don't have to build them all, right? Smash is obviously something that we're doing for ourselves, so make it your own thing. However, I certainly understand the completionist need in all of us to do that, right? So what are your thoughts on what are kind of your high level thoughts on the future of Destiny Smash and where we can take this?
So I do like the idea that some people could just build the 50 that we designed, and that could be it for them, and that could be a great end point. But for some people, they're going to want something fresh, and that may involve taking apart some of the ones that they exist now to build new ones, if there is some card overlap. But try to find ways to spice up the format a little bit in some ways. So we want to come up with adding somewhere, but it's just a question of where they're going to come from. Do we have a new theory or a new approach for these new decks?
Okay, so to that end, one of the obvious jumping points that I'm sure the community's screaming at the screen about right now is moving into the ARH space. The Renewed Hope team has 3 sets out, soon to be 4, coming mid-November. Why not smash those? That's the obvious place. You and I, of course, talked about that. So, kind of how do we do that? How does that work? Yeah. Does it work?
I think it will work. The problem is I don't think that they're there now. There's a couple of issues with Smash and ARH. One, they haven't created as many event cards, and like having gone through experiments of trying to do draft, they have a lot of cards that are based on design of your deck. Like if everything in your deck is a X, or if everything in your deck is the same color, and so all of those cards are like instantly dead in Smash. So like the first 2 sets have a lot of that. If everyone in your deck if everything is an Inquisitor, if you can spot 3 spies, that kind of stuff, those cards just won't work. And if we're gonna do ARH, I think because there's definitely a power difference with ARH versus the FFG stuff. I think we want to make it so it's like a self-contained set, and if we do a self-contained set, we're going to want to use ARH only events. And I think for those decks to really differentiate from each other, we're going to need a bigger pool.
So in the discussions that Dean and I have had to date, basically the cutoff, cutoff's such a hard word, but we really want to hard revisit this conversation kind of in ARH 6. That is about the timeline where we're hoping there will be enough of an ARH only, ARH independent, I should say, card pool. To the end you spoke about, there are a lot of fundamental pieces missing because they hadn't had to develop those because Convergence was still legal. And then now with the advent of the reprint list, they will permanently not have to, like field medic, right? They're never going to have to design a field medic. They'll design something like that, which means that for us to go ARH only, we don't have a field medic. So trying to do this without a pretty significant card pool is definitely a challenge. So I think that's mentally where we're at, is around ARH 6, which, if I remember their timelines correctly, is pretty much early summer of 2022, maybe early to mid-summer 2022. That would be the point that we would revisit even starting that conversation. So that's kind of the long-term timeline I think we're at now. Now, things can always change, right? If this next set drops 16, 15-point characters, maybe it's a different conversation. I don't know.
They do have some good characters, like Cal, Kestis, and some of those guys. Like, they look very smashable. They look great for the concept. And the advantage of the ARH only stuff is that now you don't have to hunt them all down. Like, you can just go to a printer and say, print me this deck.
Absolutely.
And it's done. So that's a big advantage for us on those new decks, is that they're going to be ready to print, in theory, right away. If we can stay with ARH stuff, there's a lot of printers already in that game.
Right, and we had, was that last week? I think I had Trey from Kingwood on, and he has pre-con decks that he's making for ARH stuff, and because he's able to just print on demand is not quite the right term, but he's able to selectively print what he needs. And I would very much see us going to someone like a Trey and having him do the same thing, right? And have decks ready to go, whether it be a Kingwood or whether it be an Aegis or whatever. We could have that be available for people whom haven't purchased the ARH sets, or had not purchased all of them, or whatever. And I do think your point of having it being a self-contained module, I think, is the right answer, right? I mean, we would presumably, you look at a Dak who's 15. Leia is a printed 15. I would think we would use her. Even a Benthic's a printed 15. I mean, it would have to obviously test the snot out of Benthic, right? But guys like that, I think are very good smashable characters. But if you compare a 15-point Benthic with some of the other ones that are out there, it's not really
it's not the same.
It's not really fair, right? So, I mean, I think that's kind of a long-term vision.
Yeah, ARH has definitely designed really good middle since the start. They've liked, supporting these two people go together kind of set. So I do think that there's going to be ripe for the pickings. It's just, it's gonna be a different power level, just in general, which isn't bad. And then people, if they want to play him with their existing Smash decks, maybe they can nerf it a little bit, but drop a health or something like that. But a self-contained set just makes the most sense to me.
Yeah, and I think that also makes it easier for us from a testing perspective, to basically press the reset button and then start testing within themselves on power level versus, because I don't really know how we would test their power level against other people, against the 50 decks to begin with, even even without the power creep issue, right? So
I can see there being fan ways to do it. Like if you do a draft, you get one ARH character and then one standard, so both. So there's probably ways that as fans you could come up with a house rule that kind of balances it. But the ARH stuff definitely is just a little bit different. As far as the power level, just inherently, a lot of characters have like an activation ability and a power action. So that doesn't happen as often in FFG. So there's a little bit more consistent at dictating their strategy to the game, and it's just harder to compare them to FFG.
Yeah, and the other advantage, though, to keeping it self-contained is that there's less of an impact to not having those field medics, right? If nobody has a field medic, then nobody has a field medic, and it's not as much of a problem. So, I think that's something we're very much looking forward to. It's something that we're constantly thinking about. I know people ask about it all the time because it's kind of an easy answer, an easy space to move in. But I think Dean and I both are kind of the mindset that we're just not there quite yet. So we'll put a pin in it, and we'll come back to that when we are ready for that. Because there's no rush, right? There's no rush.
No.
Next up, I know you and I have both been asked questions about doing Wild Horizons. Kind of wanted to. I'll just kind of nip that in the bud. We have no interest in doing Wild Horizons, primarily because of the implications around that. It's the same as how other groups have decided to avoid Wild Horizons as well. It is a shame. There's some pretty hot 15 drops in that set, but it's also an interesting thing because Dean, you can correct me if you disagree, but they're almost on the higher power level, some of those characters as well. So
yeah, there's definitely if you were to say let's take the transformations, Wild Horizons, and ARH and did all that together, that power level is pretty close. And so, but just we've stayed away from any kind of legal weeds so far, and I think we're all just kind of, we don't want to be the ones to open up the hornet's nest.
Yep. I mean, because right now we're not, Destiny Smash is doing 0 things illegal. We are using that are even implied to be illegal, right? I'm not saying other people are. I'm saying we are in 0 risk of that because we're just doing lists that are using other cards. So, not with a 10-foot pole. Let's just put it that way.
Absolutely.
So the next fun announcement that we do have is what are we going to do where's our energy going to go in the meantime, Dean? What are we going to be working on?
So, in the meantime, now that we have the 50 decks, there are a lot of big characters that aren't in Smash, and because FFG designed them in a way that they couldn't be Smash before, but we can't just leave them there. If you look at the list of all the characters, where is your Ahsoka? Where's Obi-Wan? Where's Mace Windu, Palpatine, Maul, Tarkin, Cad Bane? There's a whole bunch of popular characters that aren't in Smash, and we have to find a way to make that happen.
Yeah. So to that end, Dean and I are proud, happy, excited, whatever the proper one is. What I'm showing up right now is Jyn Erso, Smashing Reluctant Hero. We are going through, and just flipped over to Ahsoka. There we go. But what we're doing, or what we want to do, what is on our plate right now, is what we'd like to do is go back and make 15-point / middle rebalances of many of these existing favorite heroes, and kind of make them a little more smashable, right? So Jyn, for example, the ones that I've been playing around with, we're taking the existing die for obvious reasons. In this case, I've dropped her health a little bit, but we also want the abilities to somehow reflect the original ability of the original character, right? So for in the example, Ahsoka, she has the feint ability, which is somewhat similar to what she did, but it's actually very good for her if you think about it from like a Shoto perspective, right? She can roll and she can get the shield from Shoto. She can choose to remove her dice and ready herself, right? So for that action, you get all of her after you activate abilities, and then you get to pull her back. And you can also do it if she rolls bad or whatever. Jyn, on the other hand, instead of looking at the top 3 and chucking one, look at the top 2 and put one on the bottom of your opponent's deck, which is far less impactful from a mill standpoint in a limited, less efficient format like Smash. So while these are by no means final design done, this is the type, and these are actually the only 2 that we have, right? But these are kind of where our headspace is at for what we want to drive towards. And then, Dean named off a whole bunch of characters, completely valid. I want to throw Aura Singh on there as well. I'd love to see Aura Singh in. Her die, I think, would be very, very manageable. Then we can get Talzin in, maybe use Talzin's die and get her to be a little stronger, something like that, right? Like maybe look at the top 2 cards of your deck, and if one, that's probably busted, but either way, right? Stuff like that. So that's what we're kind of working on in the background. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little more to test because we're not playing with an existing thing that's already been tested for a long time. We're taking these characters where the die is known, but tweaking their health. Is it as simple as taking Talzin and giving her more health? Going from 11 or 12 to make her 15, or do we have to mess with her ability? Do we have to do something else so she stands on her own? So there's going to be more testing, I think, involved in this set, but it gives us an ability to mine even more value out of our existing FFG collections, because all these characters, it's here we already have, and get more iconic characters into the format.
Yep, which is definitely something that I think we both regretted that we hadn't done or hadn't been able to do, was get Zeb in, and all those characters that people are typing in the comments right now that they want to see. But Palpatine is another big one that is no Palpatine. So
yeah, how do you do it with that Maul? There's like so many great big name characters, iconic, and they've always been 17 or better in some in FFG. So no Obi-Wans have been 15. So gotta see if we can make that happen. So I'm excited about the idea, because they're all going to require some kind of tweaking. Some might just be as simple of bumping their health or taking away their ability or something like that. But hopefully we can do some clever and interesting things people won't expect.
Yep. And I know one of the things we're trying to do, like I mentioned, is keep the ability somewhat reminiscent of themselves, or even like Cad Bane, the one I was toying around with, was giving him the quick draw holster ability where he can reroll his dice after he rolls in, reroll his weapon dice after he rolls in. Just simple stuff like that is already contained within the game itself, and just kind of transposing it. And then the biggest knob we have, especially in Smash, is with those dice is health, right? So Jyn, for example, if she's way too good at 12, which I think she would be, you drop her down 2 points, which Jyn Cassian at 20 health is real strong, but that's pretty soft. So a lot of knobs we can twist, and a lot of places we can go. So I don't think we're ready to announce any sort of timeline or anything on that, but we just wanted to let people know kind of where our head was at and where we've been going. So you had also brought up kind of in the conversation about running out of stuff, or the fact that we've used some stuff too much.
Hmm.
Where do you think, you had brought up another proposal you had on where we could go with that. So why don't you speak to that?
So another thing I was looking at is taking some dice that have like good art, but maybe the original card cost too much, or it didn't have redeploy, so it never got used, or the special was very conditional, so we never played with it. We can, if we're reprinting some new cards, let's take the First Order TIE Fighter from Awakenings and let's give it a different special. And then we can add TIE Fighters to the game, and it's a dice that should be cheap and easy to acquire. Those kinds of things, if we can take a Ascension gun, another yellow gun, and maybe we can give that a different special, and now we don't have to use another Donderbus. Or because there's only so many yellow guns you can use. If we can get extra value out of some of these poorly pointed or, like I said, super situational specials or bonuses, if we can tweak those a little bit and then get the use out of the gun or the die that looks good on its own, um, we can get a little value out of it and not have people chasing down these chase die that have become really high demand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that there's a lot of implications of that because it basically takes us into design space. I mean, I know we're
Mm-hmm.
kind of already doing that with the characters, but that's not quite the same as redesigning cards within a set, right? So Dean and I will see how that evolves if the need is there or not.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something that's been floated as well.
I don't think we want to be rampant with it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's definitely something that I think we could avoid having to use. I mean, I know some people are like, I'm out of F11Ds. I can't, use those in a couple decks. But there's a bunch of red guns that are just terrible, especially from like, Awakenings block. But like, the die looks good as a person holding a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just see if we can tweak it a little bit. And especially if we can make it so like it's comparable to something else that exists in FFG. We know it's not way out of whack. This die has like the same sides as Raiding Party, which is a 2-cost support. Like, it seems fair now with this ability that this thing would also cost 2 or something like that. So it's something we're kicking around. And then another thing I was looking at is we have a lot of non-unique characters, and they have iconic faces or things on them. Could they become a support or like a bodyguard or something like that, so they can get use in Smash? So you could take the clone trooper, maybe it's a clone reinforcement, and that's a support now,
Mm-hmm.
and you get the same die, maybe a similar ability. What would that cost? Those kind of discussions are things we're looking at just to kind of increase the card and die pool and allow us to use some different things than we have in the past, or get away from overusing some things that we're starting to get to the bottom of it, especially like yellow guns,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. We've got Pike Blaster and a couple yellow guns left we haven't used a lot, but there are certain types of dice that are just harder to come up with. There's only a handful that are good.
Mm-hmm.
We've used them quite a bit. How do we not use them more
Yeah.
and more?
Well, I mean, we are suffering from, I mean, kind of in very similar aspects. The same thing of basically what happened with the ARH reprint list was certain cards definitely rose to the top, and I mean that's the same thing here, right? Holdout Blaster, anything with redeploy in this format's really good. So if you don't have redeploy, you kind of don't get looked at because
Mm-hmm.
then unless you're like a 3-drop or something, like a pulse cannon or something, that's a different story. But I mean, I think I think you guys know what I'm saying, but it's a self-limiting card pool because it's an infinite card pool, and by definition, even though infinite sounds large, it's actually self-selective because the stuff that's good stands to the top, right? So,
Mm-hmm. And it's also if you have the idea that you want to build them all at the same time.
mm-hmm.
I never had that issue before when you were usually building 2 or 3 decks to take to your Wednesday event. You're building 50 of these decks, and then you're leaving them as is. So you can't. I think a lot of people are trying to avoid swapping their holdout blasters between the different sets. And so if we add a 6th holdout blaster, that's going to be quite a pain.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. So, yeah, so I mean, I think that's mostly it today. We just wanted to kind of give an update. It's been a while since we've talked Smash.
Hmm.
And wanted to, I still am blown away by the reception to it. I'm excited about the reception to it. Still blown away how excited people have been about it, and wanted to keep things going and didn't want it to just die. That said, we can't make any big product announcements today, other than to
Hmm.
just let people know that stuff's coming, and that we're thinking about it. So
Yep. Yeah, all the next steps for us are going to require a little bit more time, a little more practice than before. So, like, the gaps between releases are probably going to be larger. There's going to be more, like I said, design to some degree going in. So it's just Smash is going to be growing slower, but we're hoping that now that we've got like that base 50, everybody's got a happy, good product to work with in the meantime.
yeah, and hopefully, because like you said, there's 50 of them now, right? I mean, when we had Phase 1 out, like, most of the combos got played pretty quick, and now there's
Yeah.
50 of them, and like you can do the math. You're not going to choose two quite as frequently that match. So a lot
Yep.
more places to go there. So cool. Well, I think that's it for today. Thanks for popping on and giving us the update. I'll go ahead and put the characters up one more time as we get out of here. But again, these are design in progress, right? But it's kind of sharing the whole general concept. So, did you have
Hmm.
anything else to add before we get out of here?
I don't think so. We're ready to rock.
Okay, fair enough. Well, thanks, folks, for joining us today for chatting Destiny Smash and the future and our thoughts. Let us know what you guys are thinking. Character lists, who you're looking for, um, basically anything. Throw at us, because we can always just ignore it, right? No, but no, we would definitely want to hear what everybody's thinking, because there's a lot of places to go and everybody's got a stake in this. So. Thank you, Dean, for making time at late at night after my kid went to bed to do this. I really appreciate it, and
Hmm.
everything you continue to do for Smash and the channel. So, with all that said, folks, go Commando.
Go Commando.